Welcome back to another episode of the Craftavore Tastes. I'm your host, Max, and today we're diving into a beer from Two Roads. This is their Too Juicy New England Style IPA, coming in at 8.2% ABV. Two Roads, obviously from Stratford, Connecticut. The reason why I'm diving into this beer and reviewing this beer specifically today is because a couple of weeks ago, Darwin from Darwin's Beer Reviews, who I have been watching for years and was an inspiration to me, and one of the reasons why I actually went ahead and finally started up my own channel, reviewed this beer, and in parentheses in the title actually called this beer a fake New England style IPA. And when you watch the review, he kind of talked a little bit about how, previously at work, when this beer was first reviewed, like a year, or when it was first released, excuse me, a year or 15 months, maybe 18 months ago, he really enjoyed it. And subsequently hasn't really enjoyed it so much. And I commented on his video because that was a spot on review, in my opinion. That was the exact same experience that I have had with this beer. When I first had it 15, 18 months ago, when it was released in really small quantities from the brewery, my buddy Adam, who hooked me up with this can as well, was kind enough to get me that beer, and I thought it was amazing. I was blown away that a brewery of Two Roads size was willing to brew a New England style IPA and brew it true to style. Like, it was impressive. And so I've had it over the course of the last 15, 18 months, subsequently a couple cans here and there, a couple 4-packs here and there, evenly as the distribution kind of opened up to my area. And it hasn't been as good, right? And so when I saw Darwin's review, I was like, that was spot on. So my buddy Adam hooked me up with another can. Thank you, man. And I was like, let me do a review. Let me dive back into this beer. Let me do it from my channel. And let me see if my experience is the same as it's been the last few cans and how Darwin's experience was. Or maybe, am I wrong? Like, did I get a couple of bad batches? I don't know. Ready to dive into this one. Obviously, take a look at the appearance, get the aroma, the taste. Then we'll obviously rate it. So let's just obviously dive in here. I've already poured out the beer for you guys. So let me just get it a little bit closer to the camera here. Beer coming in a beautiful, gorgeous, kind of medium light yellow color. One of those New England style IPAs, a lot of them that I've been having recently have this. It's actually clean in notes, right? Like, it's got full on super haze going on right there. But it does have a little bit of cleanness to it. Let's go ahead and just kind of move it around a little bit there to get a little bit of head. Yeah, we got about maybe half a pinky's worth of head, kind of compact bubbles. From the New England style perspective, in terms of the appearance, like, it's spot on, man. It looks great. So let's dive our nose into it and get an aroma. Darwin, you don't lie. So, yeah. Not a lot off the nose. This does not remind me of the Too Juicy that I had 15 to 18 months ago. Not at all. In fact, it doesn't even remind me of the Too Juicy that I've had the last couple of months. Getting in a little bit of light citrus off the nose. Maybe a little bit of orange going on. Some just kind of light citrus fruits, but to be perfectly honest with you, the aroma reminds me very similar of a beer that I reviewed just a couple of weeks ago on the channel. You probably remember it if you watched the video, Sierra Nevada's Hazy Little Thing IPA. Yeesh. It's similar in that way that I'm just kind of getting, a light overall citrus kind of note. Nothing is really popping out to me. It is not pungent. It is not overwhelming. It's just this kind of ho-hum, kind of citrus note there that frankly comes across as a bit muted. Let's go ahead and dive in and get a taste. Maybe things change. We'll see. Cheers. Okay. All right. So on the taste, things do change a little bit. I'm getting a little bit more of kind of light pineapple, but first things first, the mouthfeel and the body on that beer, at least on this batch and this can, is not even what I remember from the last few cans. I remember kind of Too Juicy kind of being a bit more sweet, had a bit more kind of a chewy kind of mouth feel to it. It was never like, like super, super, super kind of chewy, but it had enough sweetness to it where, if you kind of pushed it around in the glass, you would get a significant amount of alcohol legs going on. You kind of knew, you felt a little bit of that 8.2% ABV in the past. It's borderline kind of it is light, is the best way that I can kind of describe it right now. Just the mouthfeel is not really what I remember at all. In terms of the taste, I'm just getting a little bit of kind of light pineapple notes. Let me kind of drive back in. Yeah, light citrus notes, a little bit of light pineapple. There is this kind of thing going on where, while there is no lingering bitterness whatsoever, literally zero, and while the mouthfeel is kind of light, like I'm getting a bit of kind of alcohol off that taste. You know what I mean? Like the ABV is 8.2, right? So it's tough because it's not really hiding its alcohol very well. And frankly, I don't know if they've kind of just cut back on that malt bill a little bit, because it's just not really well balanced. I always thought the beer was, again, heavier mouthfeel, a little bit more chewy, a little bit more balanced in terms of the beer's presentation and kind of how it kind of tasted on the palate. No, unfortunately, no. It's gone in the opposite direction. So, oof. All right. So let's go ahead and give her a rating. Straight up, honestly, this is a 3.5 caps beer, man. This beer, when I first drank it and rated it on Tapped pre-channel time, I think the highest rating I ever gave it was a 4.25. I've since kind of moved down, as I mentioned. The cans post, that first release haven't been kind of up to par. And so I think the last time that I reviewed it, I think it was a 3.75. Unfortunately, this kind of can, or this batch, this was packaged on January 9th, so we're just about 5 weeks out. Again, I kept it cold constantly. Thanks again to my buddy Adam for getting me this can. So it's 5 weeks. Like, it's not that long. Truth be told, he did send it to me a couple of weeks ago. I just haven't gotten around to reviewing it, so I could have had it a little fresher. But it's been kept super cold. It's 5 weeks. Like, there really shouldn't kind of be much drop off. Yeah, it's a 3.5 caps beer, man. That's kind of really sad. At the end of the day, it seems as though they've increased production of this beer. Maybe have taken some shortcuts in terms of the recipe. But the worst of it all is that they've kept the price at the premium that originally was. So for a 4-pack in my area, this costs about $15-16. So yeah. 3.5 caps from the Craftavore Tastes. Hope you join me again for another episode where I drink, I review, I rate, and then I repeat. Cheers.